What do Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and in general the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, lifelong sports fan. And as I'm coming back today with a video, kind of as the first third of the season is over, recapping where we were at with the AFC, the entire division. I had some predictions before, which you can go back into my video archives and see. Things have definitely shaped up a little differently than I thought they would so far, and I just kind of wanted to go through where we're at and where I think we're going to be going with each team's floor and each team's ceiling. There's going to be a few that I may pull up some stats to talk about here and just kind of talk about their whole team in general. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started on this. Let's start with the AFC South. Now, the AFC South, not a good division at all. You had the Titans on bye last week, so the way it shapes out right now, the Titans are 3-2, Colts are 3-2-1, the Jaguars are 2-4, and the Texans are 1-3-1 after a bye last week as well. Now, Titans, as long as Derrick Henry is healthy, you are a decent football team. You have a chance to win games. If he goes down with another injury, or if he hits a slump or starts not playing well, you're going to be in trouble. Robert Woods is really your only solid, healthy receiver right now. Traylon Burks is out. You have Ryan Tannehill, who's not particularly good. We do have Malik Willis sitting in the sidelines waiting to come in and see if he's going to be a good quarterback for y'all or not. But I don't think as long as you're playing good football and have a chance at the playoffs and potentially to win your division, I don't think he ends up playing for you. So, how do I think you're going to do? I think looking at your schedule, you probably are going to end with a winning schedule as long as Derrick Henry is healthy, and everything is predicated on that. I do think your floor is 9-8. There's a lot of games that I could see going the other way. You have one of the tougher schedules in the division, and that comes because you finished number 1 in the regular season last year. So you have to play a lot of tougher opponents, including division winners from the years prior, and the top dog on the NFC, which last year was the Green Bay Packers. So you do have some games coming up that are a little tougher than some of the rest of the slate here. But I do have your ceiling. If you do really well and you continue to play good football, you could go as high as 13-4. I think you're still going to stumble on a couple of games along the way. I don't think 15-2 is a realistic option, but I think 13-4 is certainly a realistic ceiling for your team. Moving on to the Colts, 3-2-1. I don't know what to make of the Colts. I think that Matt Ryan is kind of up and down right now. That's the best I can say for him. I figured out how to play football this last week, but who knows what's going to show up going forward. Now, if they can give him good pass block, and if all of a sudden you remember how to do run blocking and get Jonathan Taylor, if he comes back healthy, the ball, and get to doing what you were doing last year where you run the ball through or run your entire offense through Taylor, you could certainly do well. But you've dug yourself into a hole, and again, you also have a little bit tougher schedule here. So Colts, again, 3-2-1 right now. Your floor, I think, is 7-9-1. I could see a lot of games not going your way. But then your ceiling is 11-5-1. So still, I don't think you're going to win the division at this point. And I actually think, unfortunately, you guys are going to be on the outside looking into playoffs this year. But we'll come back to that in a second. Jaguars, this is a team, they're 2-4 right now. They've been within one score of every game or been leading in almost every game that they played. But then they fall apart. They're just not playing complete football right now, and they have glimpses of what it's going to be like in the future. I definitely think Trevor Lawrence is taking a step forward this year. He and Christian Kirk had something special that hasn't been really connecting well for the last couple of weeks. They're starting to lean more on Travis Etienne and lean away from James Robinson. I think that's a mistake. They were doing a lot better when they were feeding James Robinson the ball. But, again, I don't know what to expect here. I do see you as being one of the weaker teams if you continue to play like you've been playing. So your floor, I do think you'll win at least 4 more games. I think you're 6-11 for your floor. I think 11-6, if you just had a lot of things go your way, is still reasonable, but it's really unrealistic for the most part. Your ceiling, though, I do think is 11-6. I think you're going to finish somewhere more in between that. Wouldn't surprise me if you were 8-9 at the end of the year, given your schedule and what you've got left. Definitely missing playoffs, but showing progress for the future. And that's, I think, all you can ask for going forward from where you're at this point in the season. Texans, yeah, you're bad. You're just bad. 1-3-1. Yeah, I don't have a lot of hope for you. Your floor, I do think you'll win a couple of games. You'll steal some from people somewhere, but you're going to be definitely the underdog in every single game you go into. 3-13-1 is your floor. 7-9-1 is your ceiling. So that ends up finishing the AFC South with the Titans, Colts, Jaguars, and Texans, exactly like it stands now, just with a little bit different record. Would not surprise me to see 3 teams in this division with winning records by the end of the year, but I ultimately think that only one of them from this division will end up going to the playoffs. So whoever wins the division will end up going on. Everybody else is going to be on the outside looking in. Next, going to the AFC North, we have the Ravens. This is, again, kind of a meh division right now. Ravens are 3-3, Bengals are 3-3, Browns 2-4, Steelers 2-4. It's about to take off, though. I think 2 teams are about to pull away dramatically here. The Ravens, they have 3 bad losses where they were winning in the fourth quarter of all those games. They could very easily be 6-0. Lamar Jackson is playing very good football right now. Their defense leaves a lot to be desired, particularly through the air, so that's going to be a little bit of a liability for them. However, they are still playing good football overall, so I think 10-7 is their floor, and I think 13-4 is their ceiling. Just because I think you're going to stumble. I don't think you're going to go, how many games would it be? 14-3. I don't think you're going to go undefeated the rest of the way. I think there's going to be at least a couple of stumbling blocks along the way. So 13-4 even seems a little bit high, but just looking at the schedule, if I gave you all of the 50-50 toss-ups, I think that would be your ceiling. Moving on, Bengals, very similar situation. 3-3, started a little bit crappy to the season, and all of a sudden started doing better. They have some tough matchups going forward, but they're starting to play the football that put them into the Super Bowl last year. So they're starting to emerge as a better team overall here. So 3-3 right now. I actually think their floor, because they have a slightly easier schedule, slightly easier slate of opponents. I think their floor is 11-6. I think their ceiling is 13-4. We're still talking about a good football team that should make the playoffs this year. Now, whether they win the division or not, it's going to be between them and the Ravens. But given that both teams have a ceiling of 13-4, I think these are both playoff teams that we're talking about. Regardless of who wins the division, one of them should be a wild card berth as well. Moving on to the Browns. Yeah, you got through the easiest part of your schedule, and now you've got the crap part of your schedule, and you still don't have Deshaun Watson, and you may not have him going forward because guess what? There's another allegation. And guess what? The NFL said if that happened, they could revisit his suspension for possibly the rest of the year. So, we'll see what happens there. But right now, assuming Deshaun Watson comes back and plays for you, I only think you're going to win about 3 more games this year. At your absolute worst, 5-12. You could win 5 more at the end of the season and possibly steal one in this next 5-game stretch, which is really tough. Just to talk about your 5-game stretch that you've got coming up here and let people realize how unrealistic this is. You are going to the Ravens. You play the Bengals. You play the Dolphins, who should be much healthier in Miami. You play the Bills in Buffalo, and then you go to you play Tampa Bay at home. Now, Tampa Bay on Thanksgiving, certainly a game you could win if they're playing the way they are right now, but you're still not going to have Deshaun Watson. Then you get Deshaun Watson back for this lovely schedule. You get the Texans. Yeah, NFL, we know exactly what you freaking did there. You get the Texans in Texas. You get the Bengals at the Bengals. You get the Ravens. You get the Saints. You get the Commies, and you get the Steelers. Only a couple of those are probably gimme games, and the rest of them are all going to be hard fought, and you could win several of them, but I just don't think you're going to win a ton on that schedule here. So I feel very confident saying that your floor is 5-12, and very confident saying that your ceiling is 7-10. Now the Steelers. You still have a chance to do something I didn't think you could do this year. You're 2-4 right now after beating Tampa Bay, showing me that you do have some life in you. TJ Watt is expected back at the first part of November, so that'll help bolster your defense and turn it into a unit to be feared again. Still, your corners leave a little bit to be desired there. But realistically, if you're playing decent football and you get TJ Watt back, I think your floor is actually 7-10. I did say I thought this would be the first year Mike Tomlin had a losing record for you. But your ceiling, you're going to be in most of the games that you're playing. So 11-6 is your ceiling. I don't think you're going to hit it. You certainly could have a winning record. So it wouldn't surprise me at the end of the year if you're 9-8, but I really think you're going to be probably 7-10 or 8-9. I just don't think you're going to have a winning schedule. I think you're going to be the underdog in a large number of games that you go into, and you're definitely missing out on playoffs. But I do think there is some hope for you here. So reordering how I see the AFC North, right now it's Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. I think it will actually finish Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, with the Bengals and the Ravens making the playoffs. Both of them being either a 3 seed or the wild card. AFC East is my next division I want to talk about. This is where you have the Bills playing probably the best football of any team in the country right now. 5-1. They had one little slip up in an incredibly hot and hostile environment in Miami. But they will play them again later in the year. And they'll play them in Buffalo. So the Bills are 5-1. The Jets surprisingly are 4-2. The Dolphins are 3-3 after the Tua injury. They were playing really well before he got hurt. He does come back this week. It's been confirmed he is the set starter for Week 7 unless he has a setback this week. So he will be coming back. And then you have the Patriots 3-3 who are playing a little bit better than I thought they would. Bailey Zappi has been a breath of fresh air for him with Mac Jones out. They're going to have a decision to make when Mac Jones is healthy here. But the Bills, playing great football. They do have a tough schedule going forward. If things don't go their way, though, in several of these games, I think their floor is 11-6, but they're going to be the favorite in every single game they go into here. So I have to give them a ceiling of 16-1. There's not a single game they have on the schedule left that they're going to be an underdog in. They've already proven themselves against the Chiefs and showed that they're resilient and can come back and play another great game. We're seeing history before our eyes here. Mahomes is going to be in the league a long time. Allen is going to be in the league a long time. They play in the same division, and the way that things are working right now, there's a good chance that they're going to play each other often in the regular season since they're both going to be probably finishing at the top of their division most years for the next 5 to 10 years. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen going against each other, quarterback against quarterback, high-flying offense against high-flying offense. So, but again, I think they could go 16-1. I don't think it'll happen. I feel like they'll stumble on the way and end up 14-3. But that's their highest ceiling. Jets playing out of their minds right now. They have figured out how to run the ball with Breece Hall. Coming in like a breath of fresh air. Zach Wilson is not doing a whole lot. I still don't think he's the answer for him long term. But you're going to have to give him another year or so to develop and see what you got in him. But you're probably looking for a better quarterback option in the offseason if you're anywhere close to playoffs this year. I don't think they'll be, but we'll talk about that in a second. Their floor, they are still going to be an underdog in a large number of games because the quarterback play is not there. The defense is playing solid, but they still are giving up some bad scores overall here. So the Jets, while you're 4-2, I do think you win at least 4 more games. Your ceiling, or your floor rather, is 8-9 for that reason. Your ceiling, though, if a lot of these games go your way, you could find yourself at 12-5 by the end of the year. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to make the playoffs, just because it's going to be really tough to do that in the AFC this year. But that's certainly a possibility for you. I don't think you finish that way. I think 10-7 is a much more realistic picture for you. But we'll see how things go here. Next, we have the Dolphins, who are 3-3 right now. They have one of the easiest schedules that I can imagine coming up, and they have Tua healthy. They're missing some depth at their corners, but here's what they've got coming up. You've got Steelers, you've got Lions, Bears, Browns without Deshaun Watson. You've got the Texans, also without Deshaun Watson. You've got the 49ers, who, again, not an easy team, but a beatable team. It's the Falcons just proved. You've got the Chargers, beatable because they shoot themselves in the foot. You've got the Bills probably not winning that one, though you did do it already. It's going to be in December in Buffalo, New York. It's probably going to be a snow-covered game. Don't think you're going to win that one coming from Miami. Green Bay Packers in Miami. Or sorry, not in Miami. Yeah, in Miami. That's a winnable game the way the Packers are playing right now. You've got at the Patriots. I don't know that you steal 2 of them from them, but you've had their number for a long time. You've got the Jets as well. And again, so a very winnable schedule here with Tua if he's healthy. If Tua is not healthy, your season could be done. It could be really bad, but I still think you're going to find a way to win games. Your floor is 9-8. Your ceiling is 13-4. And then we're going to talk about the Patriots. This is probably the most competitive division overall in the AFC. But the Patriots right now, they're playing very well on defense. And Bailey Zappi has been a breath of fresh air for that offense. He's doing well as a game manager. They're running the ball really well with Ramondre Stevenson. And when Damian Harris is healthy, they're also utilizing him. But right now, Ramondre has shown why they drafted him and showing that he's a good pickup for them. You are still going to be an underdog in a lot of your games. You have a little bit tougher schedule overall. Because of that, I think your floor is 7-10, and because you're the underdog in so many games, I don't think you're going to win more than 10 games this year. I think that's your ceiling. I think 10-7 is a reasonable ceiling for you, and I think that's not going to be enough to make the playoffs here. You're just still at the bottom of the division right now. Not necessarily your own fault. I think the future is looking bright in New England, but you're still in the toughest division right now for the AFC, at least for this year. So, the way I have this one shaping out will be Bills, Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots, with both the Bills and the Dolphins likely making the playoffs. Then we move on to the AFC West. This one I thought would be much better, and I think everybody thought this would be much better at the beginning of the year. You have two teams that are playing just absolute jack shit football, and you have two teams that are playing very good, with one of them being significantly better than the other. So the Chiefs, they have a very tough schedule going forward. Very, very tough schedule, but they should be the favorite in a large number of their games. They have the LA Chargers again. They have the Rams. They have the Bengals. They have the Titans. They have the 49ers. So all those games are games that they could end up losing, and because of that, I have them with their floor at 11-6. I think they're going to have a winning record for sure, and make the playoffs. And I still think they're probably going to win that division. I didn't think that at the beginning of the year, but the way things have played out, and the fact that they hold a tiebreaker over the Chargers right now, I do think they end up winning. The Chargers, I think you have a winning record by the end of the year, but you're just not playing as well as I would like you to. When Keenan Allen comes back, I think that's going to help things out a little bit. But right now, you're struggling a little bit. You've not played a complete game in my mind so far, even though you're 4-2. And because of that, because you're not playing complete football, I can easily see you going 9-8 and missing the playoffs as your floor. But as your ceiling, I think it's 13-4. I think I had you at 14-3 at the beginning of the year. You're still in a fairly good position right now, and you do have a fairly easy schedule overall. So 13-4, I think it's a reasonable ceiling for you. But you're no longer this powerhouse that I thought you were going to be on both offense and defense. You are beatable, but you have a favorable schedule overall. Broncos. Let's talk about the last two teams in this division. Good God, how bad are the Broncos? It is time to panic if you are a Broncos fan. You are playing just absolutely god-awful football right now. Can't run the ball, can't throw the ball, you're fumbling. Russ doesn't look good at all. He doesn't look comfortable. I don't know what's going on with Russell Wilson, but you are going to live and die by Russell Wilson, and right now you're dying. Like, you are badly dying. And when I look at your schedule going forward, it's tough. There's a lot of games that could go your way. There's a lot that could go the wrong way, too. You know, there are games that should be winnable on here. At the beginning of the year, I would have thought the Jets, the Jaguars, the Panthers, those are all teams that I would have thought, that's really easy. That's not going to be a challenge at all. The Panthers still aren't, but the Jets are playing good football right now. I don't think you can stop them. The Jaguars are going to be a tough game in London. The Titans are going to be a tough game. Raiders, while they're not playing good football either, they're going to be a tough game. You already lost to them one time this year. You've got the Ravens at the Ravens. You got the Chiefs. The Cardinals will be better at that point in time because DeAndre Hopkins is back. They should be healthier. You've got the Rams in LA. You've got the Chiefs at the Chiefs, and you've got the Chargers again. Tell me which games you reasonably see yourself winning or flat out winning. I don't think you're the flat out favorite in hardly any games going forward. For that reason, I think your ceiling is 10-7. You could win at least 8 of those games. I think you could win. But your floor is 4-13. You have the widest margin of anybody because I just don't know what you are right now. I don't know why you're playing so badly. And Brandon Perna on That's Good Sports has been talking about this a lot. The problem with the Broncos, none of us really know. So I think you're a better team on paper, and I don't think you're going to go 4-13. But if we get to the end of the season and you've just played like you've been playing, it's not going to surprise me. And I don't think it'll surprise anybody because of the way you've been playing. So 10-7, I think, is your ceiling. 4-13 is your floor. And let's talk about the Raiders. On bye last week, 1-4 record right now. Also not playing good football. For that reason, I thought on paper you would be better this year. You're going to be the underdog in a large number of your games. For that reason, 3-14 is your floor. But again, you have a very wide margin here. You could turn your season around and all of a sudden end up 11-6 as your ceiling. So, with that said, I don't want to talk a whole lot more because I've been going on longer than I meant to at this point. The AFC West, I see finishing this way. Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, with the AFC West getting 2 playoff teams in the Chiefs and the Chargers. So, that's just what I think about the divisions, where they're going forward here. There's a fairly significant reshuffle in the AFC North. I've got a little bit of a reshuffling in the AFC West and the AFC East in the middling positions. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Please consider liking the video. It'll help us out a lot. It'll help me grow. Consider subscribing as well if you enjoy this kind of content. But thanks for watching, guys. Again, really enjoying this. I've had a great time with these videos so far. It just helps me get out the inner football guy in me. And thanks for watching. Until next time, rise up.